in my opinion, man, for a do-all hunting rifle scope, it's going to be tough to beat.
That's when I sent Mark another message, like, Mark, we got to talk about this thing.
So yeah, man, I mean, if you want to drop long-range bombs on a budget, like, this is it.
Honestly, every single tier of scope that Vortex makes is quality glass.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. I don't know about you guys, but with this whole coronavirus thing going on, it's given me a chance to kind of sit at home and spend a lot of time on social media and looking online. And a site that I find myself on quite often is Vortex Optics. Now, you guys well know that Vortex Optics is our main sponsor for everything that we do at eHunter. We're grateful for them. But if you have noticed, Vortex has come out with a lot of new stuff lately. Some new rifle scopes, some new reticle attachments for spotting scopes. And so we had the chance to sit down again with Mark Boardman from Vortex. And thanks again, Mark. He's such a good guy to be able to come on this podcast with us and chat about things. I know that they're extremely busy over there, and life's crazy for everybody right now, honestly. So appreciate his time and taking a few minutes to talk about these new products. But in this podcast, we talk about the new rifle scopes that Vortex has just released in the past few months, in fact, even the past few weeks, and talk about the implications of those rifle scopes, where you can use them, the details. We get into the nitty-gritty of the details around them and where they'll best suit you and serve you in the field. So hope you guys enjoy this podcast. Trying to keep you guys up to date with all the new products that are coming out in the hunting industry. This is a newscast, so definitely hunting news is some of the new products. So appreciate you guys' support for the podcast. Please like, subscribe, and share the podcast with those that you think would enjoy it as well. If there's anything that you feel like that you would like to have us do a podcast on, or if you have questions about certain things, let us know. We'd be happy to reach out to some guests and get them on. So again, hope you guys enjoy this, and without further ado, let's jump into the podcast with Mark. All right, everybody, welcome back to the eHunter Newscast. We have a guest on today that has been on before, Mark Boardman with Vortex Optics. How's it going, Mark?
No, I'm doing good, man. Doing good. How you guys doing?
Doing great, doing wonderful. And we also have Curtis finally joining me again on a podcast. Curtis, how you doing today, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing good. Just waiting for the invitation back. It had been a while, so I thought I screwed something up, but I'm back, so we're good.
I won't tell you all the things you screwed up, but Mark did a great job. I know that. Mark was fantastic. Curtis?
Yeah.
That's about par for the course. So,
well, I appreciate you guys being here today. On our last podcast we did with you, Mark, we teased a little bit about some new products that are coming out with Vortex, and I'm really, really excited today to talk about these new products. And it seems like, man, you guys are busy over there at Vortex. You guys are pumping new stuff out all the time right now.
Yeah, no, it's been exciting, super exciting. A lot of products are, kind of coming to fruition, pretty close, I guess, as far as, contextually and the space-time continuum. So, but yeah, so we've been moving and shaking over here, launching some new stuff, and, a lot of stuff that's, been in the works for years, really. So it's super exciting times for us and the products themselves. I know we're just way pumped about, and can't wait to get them in our customers' hands. And actually, a lot of them, they are. So we're launching products in time. So when we hit the go button, people can get their hands on them, and that's just working out to be pretty neat. So.
Well, you guys are doing a great job of getting that out to people. I'm seeing a lot of people comment about these new products that have come out just like in the last few weeks, and great things. Everything that's I've been reading about the new products is just fantastic. So kudos to you guys on the products that you are putting out there, and really these products we're going to talk about today are things that are near and dear to my heart. Really, I like shooting long range. I like shooting animals at long range, and so this is really what I like to talk about. And I have lots of questions for you today about these new products. But let's jump into it, man. I'd like to start with the Razer HD LHT scope, and I know it came out, gosh, I don't even know what. It's probably been at least a month ago. But would you mind telling us a little bit about that new scope and the details with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think it has been about a month, and that's the one that we were kind of talking about, but we couldn't talk about the last time we talked.
Yeah.
So yeah, just super pumped. I know I keep saying that, but I truly, truly mean it. This scope for me, my personal background or passions in life, really revolve around big game hunting, and also, but like you, with modern technology and modern bullets, high BC bullets, the advent of the rangefinder, ballistics calculator. I mean, we've really been able to do a lot of things and use these things to extend our effective range in the field. And this new Razer HD LHT, I was fortunate enough, over the last couple of years to be able to use some prototypes, and even some of the prototypes before we kind of came out with the final, I'd be like, oh, I love it. It's perfect, and then the engineers would be like, no, it's not perfect. We want to do this. We want to do that, so, but man, what they came up with, dude, in my opinion, it's unbelievable. Optically, it's off the charts. It's a super versatile magnification range. It's a 3 to 15 by 42. So, as far as, a zoom range, it's like, oh man, you want to go hunt whitetails in the tree? You might have a max shot distance of 200 yards. Great. You want to sneak through the timber and you want to have it on 3 or 4X in case, you still hunt into something and need to execute a shot. Great. Oh, you need to figure out, your ballistic static, because you might be taking a 600, 700, 800 yard shot. Bam, you can do that too. And so as far as a hunting scope that's incredibly versatile, optically, just stunning optics. It tracks super true. The turret system, in my opinion, I guess everybody has their own preferences, but it's my favorite that we've come out with, and we can speak a little bit to the specifics on that. But yeah, if you can't tell, like, this is one I'm personally extremely, extremely excited about.
I'm with you, brother. I am with you on that. I mean, same thing. Just it's so versatile. You can use it in so many different situations. Whether you're an Eastern hunter, Midwest, Western hunter, it applies to everybody, which is fantastic. So let's dig into the turrets on this and what makes them so special. I know what they are, but tell the listeners about this turret system and yeah, what is so special about it.
So it's a pop up and down locking elevation turret. So that's one thing that I really like about this turret. It's a locking turret, so you don't have to be mindful of keeping track of revs if maybe you throw it in the case a little bit too hard or something like that. And generally, even some of our turrets, like the Viper HSLR, which is one of my favorite scopes in our lineup, it's something you need to be cognizant of, but also I've never had an issue at the same time, but I'm also mindful of it at the same time. So this is just kind of like alleviates, having to kind of, entertain that thought or even keep an eye out. So, locking turret, I love that. It's got our new Rev Stop zero system, and so as far as setting a zero stop, I mean, with this, if righty tighty, lefty loosey, you can set this zero stop. I mean, I'll go through the process right now. It's got on the center of the elevation turret, it's got essentially a slot, and it comes with a tool that's almost like a polymer screwdriver. You loosen it, you pull the turret cap straight up. And I guess you're doing all this after you've sighted in your rifle. So you get your zero, and you've got the zero that you want. And then, like I said, you pull that turret cap. It comes with the Rev Stop ring. You pop that in. You essentially just insert it straight down and turn it to the right until it stops. And it's got a positive stop. And then you put the cap back on and tighten that same kind of like little screw piece on the top that you removed. Like, that's it. Like, you're done. I mean, it's literally, it's so simple. It's almost scary at the same time, but it's an amazingly, it's so simple. It took a lot of engineering to get there in a way, if that makes sense,
When a lot of people are scared of turret systems just because they may not understand it. They may be afraid they're going to screw something up, for lack of better words. And so this kind of helps those people, give them some confidence into knowing that they're not going to screw it up.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. People, if I can do it, you can do it. Honestly, I mean that's the truth. And then as far as the windage turret, it's a capped windage turret, so it's super sleek. You're gonna, when you sight in your rifle scope, you're gonna do it how you normally would with any, capped turret. But then, when you're done, you just cap it off, and it's not gonna be exposed to the elements in any way. Like I said, it's more, we're able to keep it more streamlined by doing that. And for what's going to be predominantly a hunting rifle scope, even though you could certainly use this in some tactical long range applications, you're just not going to dial your wind in the field. Like, it's just not something from a practical aspect you're likely to end up doing. I'm not going to say nobody does it, because folks certainly do that, but I'd say by and large, and what the intended application of this scope, man, that sucker's capped off and you're good to go. So.
Oh man, that is awesome. And just a couple other questions on this. It's a second focal plane scope, right?
So it is, and for some people, when you think long range, you think, oh, well, I'm shooting long range, I need a first focal plane scope, but in this model, and I'd say in some cases you do, that is going to work optimally, right? But when you're looking at a rifle scope that's a 3 to 15, right? You've got that low end of 3 power. You got to keep in mind what that reticle will look like at 3 power versus 15 power, right? So if you are in that scenario where maybe you are likely to have a closer range shot, or like I said, you're slipping through the timber and you go to throw your gun up, that reticle is going to be so small, again, it becomes impractical, right?
Right.
The other thing is, with the second focal plane reticle, it is a glass etch second focal plane reticle, right? And it's got a lot of data. I want to say it's got, oh man, I'd have to look. 32, don't quote me, but like 32 MOA of reticle hash marks in it, somewhere thereabouts. I'd have to look that up, so don't quote me. But if you want to use those hash marks, and if you're in a scenario where you're likely to need to use those hash marks, you're probably going to be at the top end of that zoom range anyway, where they're going to be accurate. So again, it comes down to how the scope is going to be used and how it's intended to be used. And like I said, in my opinion, man, for a do-all hunting rifle scope, it's going to be tough to beat. So, it's also got, I can't stop talking about it. I can't stop.
Love it.
It's got an illuminated center dot too. So the illumination, it's push button illumination. It's integrated into the left side parallax. Super clean. It's almost recessed in a way. But like, man, you push that, it's a quarter MOA glass etch center dot. That's the only part of the reticle that illuminates it. And really, for me, as a hunter, that's probably all that I need to have illuminated in a situation where I think I might, want to use that feature. If you've got, maybe it's slightly waning light, and you've got, a black bear, on an opposing hillside, and you just want a little bit more contrast with that reticle, or certain scenarios, like we said, like dark timber, where you might want to have a little bit more contrast with that illuminated reticle. It just does a really, really nice job. It's a fine aiming point, and it works really well. So, and the scope is super lightweight too, and so from it's as at home on, even like you could say you put it on even a heavier, more tactical oriented rifle if you wanted to, it'd be home there, and it'd also be at home on an ultralight mountain rifle. So like I said, the versatility component is just it's off the charts.
Yeah, what did it come in weighing at? Like 20 ounces or something like that?
Yeah, I want to say 19 and change, 19.1. So yeah, sub 20.
Sub 20. That's unreal. And that's, as a mountain hunter, that's what I really look for, something that's light like that I don't worry about throwing it on my gun and it being so heavy, because a lot of these scopes or I should say turreted scopes, can be pretty heavy. And so when I first saw this come out, that's what really struck me as, wow, really lightweight, good quality, has all the bells and whistles that I really like as far as the turrets and the glass and everything like that, and come out that light. That was amazing to me.
Yeah, no, it's a cool one, man. I think folks are really going to dig it. I mean, I know for me personally, like I said, I've gotten to hunt a few of the prototypes over the last couple of years, and man, for most of my hunting applications, it's going to be probably my go-to.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk a little bit about. I believe you guys have I don't know what you want to call it, a partnership or a deal with Canton Industries, and I believe if you order one of these scopes, you basically get a free strip, ballistic strip from Canton Industries. Is that correct?
So yeah. So in the box you get essentially a coupon for that free ballistic strip, and so if a person wants to go through the process of getting their ballistic data, but then kind of go to that more yardage marked turret system, they can certainly do that.
That's awesome. That kind of gives everybody the opportunity, if you want to, like you said, MOA, if you want to do yardage, that kind of stuff. That this gives people options, and I love that about it.
Yeah, for sure, and everybody's going to kind of have their personal preference. If you're hunting in kind of the a similar elevation, maybe you hunt the same mountain all the time, your environmentals are pretty consistent. There's no question yardage mark turret is going to be a solid way to go. It's going to be fast. You're going to range whatever you're trying to shoot at, and dial essentially to that yardage. Where a person, if you're the type of person that maybe likes to tinker with loads, or you're switching loads, or you're hunting, one day week you're hunting sea level, the next day you're hunting at 10,000 feet, that's where the flexibility of just dialing in mils or MOA, it's nice when it comes into play.
Yeah, definitely. Curtis, you're being quiet through all this, and I know you have a lot of questions about the scope, so I'll shut up and let you ask your questions.
Yeah, fire away, man. I've been talking too much.
No, Mark's been talking a lot, which is good. It's been answering all my questions. You basically just answered what I was thinking was the 3x15x50 only comes in that MRAD, and I saw the other model, the 3x15x42. You can switch off. You can pick either one. Was there a reasoning that they did that with those two models?
So I mean, I think initially, that 3-15x50 with that more BDC style reticle was geared towards the European market, and so I think that was kind of the target market off the go, and then but obviously we folded that in case people wanted to have that that preference on down over here in the States as well. I've looked through both scopes. I mean, they both, have their advantages. I would base my decision off of more the reticle that you prefer and not necessarily the objective size. Like I said, the optics in both of those scopes I'll put it this way. A person's never going to be at a disadvantage because they go, I've got the 44, not the 50. That's going to be a moot point non-issue.
I've looked through both, and I agree. It really is a moot point between those two objectives. I mean, yeah, like you said, pick the reticle that you want, and that's most important.
Yeah, for sure.
Good. Yeah, and you guys touched on it too. When it first came out, I was immediately drawn to the weight of it as well. But then you talked about a little bit too, like for the guys that, like Taryn, likes to shoot out pretty far and stuff like that. That's kind of what turned me off a little bit to it. But then what just came out this week, and it might be a decent transition to go into that, kind of fix that. Like, it's not the Razor Gen 2 that's, 48 ounces. It's also not the Razor HT, that's sub 20, but it's coming in right in between there. And, you still got the ability to, if you're shooting bench and doing competitions, using it for that because of the reticle and stuff that's on there. But yeah, how about we just roll into that next one? Are you guys done with the Razor and want to do that?
I am, yeah. Let's roll into the Strike Eagle because That when that came out, that's when I sent Mark another message like, Mark, we got to talk about this thing. This thing, I mean, and the reason is
usually that's like a bad thing. Like, Mark, we have to talk. You're like, oh man, what's coming? Like in this case, it's a good scenario, right?
It is. And I told you, you're probably going to get a lot of those messages from me over the years. But oh man, and the reason this one jumped out to me is for those, there's a lot of people that are on a budget, and I get that. And this kind of fits that realm, like Curtis, you just said. I mean, it gets the range, it gets you good glass, it gets you a lot of different things, and at a easier price, that easier on your pocketbook than some of these other ones. So yeah, let's jump into this new Strike Eagle. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that thing, Mark?
So yeah, man. I mean, if you want to drop long range bombs on a budget, like this is it. And I don't even like to use the word budget. I mean, number one, it's going to retail for right about $700. So I mean, it's not chump change, right? I mean, that's still $700. But comparatively, for a fully featured long range scope with essentially all the bells and whistles, and not necessarily the price tag of its alpha class, brothers, man, this new Strike Eagle 5-25 by 56 is it's a shining star for sure. It's just like I said, it's a fully featured scope. I mean, for me, long range applications, like you said, it's coming in at a little bit lighter weight compared to some of the scopes that share similar features. It's going to be, a really, really strong go-to for a lot of folks. It's got a 34 millimeter tube, right? So you've got plenty of room for that internally retro tube to move. In the MOA model, you've got 110 MOA of total travel.
Jeez.
In the mill-based version, you've got 31 mills, so you got tons of travel. Pop up and down locking turrets for both the windage and elevation turret. It shares that rev stop zero system that we just talked about in the other one, so super easy to set zero stop. Optically, it does a really, really nice job. Illuminated glass etched reticle. It's got our EBR 7C reticle, which is, it's just a data rich reticle. With you got your hash mark based subtensions as well as a windage tree, super functional for folks that want to shoot off their reticle, or potentially maybe you're having multiple engagements in rapid succession and you're not going to have time to dial, but you have to execute those shots. First focal plane, fast focus eyepiece. I mean, I don't know if I'm leaving anything out, but it's a killer scope, and like I said, you're getting all these features, and it's going to retail for right about $700.
That's amazing. Like that, I know that's not chump change, and hopefully nobody takes what I said earlier that I'm not rich by any means, but just comparative to the other ones, I mean that's fantastic. I think the biggest comparison that people are going to make, and the reason I bring this up is because this is the scope that we used last year, was the Viper PST Gen 2. I think that's where the biggest comparison is going to be, is between that scope and this new Strike Eagle. What's the pros and cons of each one, or the pros of both of them, between the two of them?
So yeah, I mean, they're both going to be really, really great scopes. I mean, obviously the Strike Eagle, that's a newer scope, right? So we're able to implement and utilize, things that we've learned over the years, technologies we've developed over the years, features we've developed, so it's a newer scope, right? But it's a different scope, I mean, depending on, you look at the Viper PST Gen 2 series as a whole, that's a deeper lineup. You've got your 1 to 6, your 2 to 10, your 3 to 15, your 5 to 25, right? So you've got, like, depending on a person's needs, they may fall, one of those other scopes might fall, into a more appropriate bucket. The PSCs, they do have a zero stop on the elevation turret, but it's not a locking turret, right? So that's definitely a plus of this new Strike Eagle 5 to 25. Same with the windage turret. It's not a locking turret. So, but a lot of similarities and then some differences. You got the 34 millimeter tube in this 5 to 25 Strike Eagle. You've got a 30 millimeter tube in the PST. So, they're going to be a little bit trimmer package. So, I'd look at your needs, how you intend to use the scope, the firearm that you're going to put it on, and kind of let that dictate your decision. But, yeah, I mean, there's no doubt for strictly long range, applications, the Strike Eagle is going to be, one you're going to want to look at. There's no doubt about it.
Nice. Glass wise, between the the optics between the Viper and the Strike Eagle, the Viper's going to have just a little bit better glass, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say that's probably pretty fair, but I think they're going to be pretty close too.
Okay. I think that's the biggest question I've got about it. And when this first one came out, I got a lot of messages from family, friends, just asking what the difference is. And that was one of the biggest ones, is what's the glass difference going to be? And I kind of, my answer to most people was, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, was I really don't think you're going to see a huge difference between the two.
Yeah, I mean it does well optically, and at the end of the day, I think obviously, I guess when we're all able to go outside again, but yeah. Optics are for looking through, right? So if you can get to a retailer and look through it, you can kind of come to your own conclusions on that. But I guess I'd also say, I'd be pretty confident saying that any person who buys either of those scopes is gonna, when you look at what you have into it, I think they're gonna be pretty happy with their purchase.
Yeah, for sure. Real quickly, and I think you mentioned this, but I just want to get clarification. The zero stop on both the LHT and the Strike Eagle, did you say that is the same zero stop in both scopes?
Yep. So they both have that rev stop zero system integrated. Yep.
Okay. I thought I had read somewhere that it was a little bit different, but man, that's amazing. That, again, just to take some of the parts from a razor level scope and put it into this Strike Eagle. That's fantastic. That's amazing. So very cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on and talking about these. Before I let you go, though, I did want to touch a little bit on a product that I just found out about yesterday, which was this new eyepiece that came out, and it goes really well with these two scopes that we've just talked about because of the long range factor. But can you tell us a little bit about this new reticle eyepiece that was just announced?
So we just announced reticle eyepieces for the Viper series of spotting scopes. Historically, we've had reticle eyepieces available in the Razor series, which is our top tier, spotting scope series. So now we're offering them in the Viper series, which is kind of, I guess I'd describe it as like an upper middle tier of spotting scopes, and they're super handy. They're kind of one of those things that until you try one, you don't realize you actually needed one. But so it's essentially a mill or MO based reticle. It's a separate eyepiece, so it's an accessory eyepiece. So if you own a Viper spotter or you bought one, you could pick up one of these reticle eyepieces, plug it into your spotting scope, and it allows you to do a few different things. They're amazing for sight-in, right? Because instead of having to be like, well, I think it's or even like if somebody's like working with you sighting in, or maybe you're have the reticle eyepiece and your buddy just has a rifle scope, but maybe it doesn't have a mill or MOA based reticle, right? So you can, instead of being like, well, I think you're about an inch to the left, you can actually measure that and go, no, dude, you need to dial 2 MOA left, and you should be, right on the bullseye. It's also excellent for calling shots, right? You're talking about shooting long range. A person, maybe you're helping them with a wind call, right? And you can be like, dude, you're 3 MOA left, or you're a mill right. Instead of guessing, you're literally providing them with, pretty exact information to make that adjustment to hopefully get an impact. And you can even, and maybe they had an impact, right? But you can then say, hey, you're actually, you can actually tell them exactly where they were on the plate. You can measure objects of known dimension, with them. They're pretty darn handy. And like I said, when you get used to using one and like you go to the range and then you don't have one, you really miss it.
I've never used one before. Curtis, have you ever used one?
I haven't, but just when Mark's explaining it, I can see scenarios where I wish I would have had it. Like, hey, 2 inches, but you can measure it just like that. I mean, that's going to save a bunch of time, and I think I want one now.
It might save you some ammo too, So.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. Save some money here.
But so that's a cool one, and I'd suggest anybody that hasn't, which, I think a lot of folks haven't, it's kind of one of those things where, I think, maybe people view it as a nice to have, but if you're logging any sort of significant range time, man, I'd suggest a person get one.
Well, now I'm intrigued, and I'm going to have to talk to my brother-in-law because he's super into long-range shooting right now. He messages me and sends me pictures every day of groups that he's shooting and different loads that he's making up, and so I'm going to have to bring this up to him. He's got the Razor spotting scope, but that's okay. You said that you guys have been making that one for a while, correct?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I guess it's, kind of a tip that I might give people that if you are hunting with the same hunting partner a lot, or maybe you go to the range with the same person a lot, it can be a benefit to get the same scope, or at least have scopes that subtend in like if you're shooting mills, then my scope's a mills, or if you're shooting MOA, then my scope's an MOA, because then, you can really help each other just even through the rifle scope, calling each other shots and providing, feedback for one another.
That's a good point. Really good point. I think we've all kind of stuck to MOA. I don't think any of the people that I hunt with have gotten into any of the mill stuff. So good point though, because you can measure it, you can look at it, everything's the same, no matter what scope you're looking through. So
yeah.
Well, cool, man. I appreciate this information. Like I said, I was pretty stoked when the LHT came out. Extremely stoked, and especially because we'd kind of teased it on our previous podcast. So I was kind of waiting for it to come out and learn more about it. And then when the Strike Eagle came out, I just saw so many applications for a lot of our listeners, a lot of different people across the western United States and really the entire United States. And so just been pretty stoked about this stuff. So appreciate you coming on and sharing some of this information with us.
No, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the time, and it's always fun chatting with you guys. And yeah, these are two hot ones though. If you're in the market for a new hunting optic or a new long range optic, I'd definitely give these guys a hard look. That's for sure.
Yeah. Are you guys having any issue with supply? Are you guys able to ship them out pretty frequently?
So yeah, so I don't have, I guess, I'm not the closest to that, and probably don't have the visibility that some folks do. But to my knowledge, things are moving along well, and nothing super significant, which is always positive to hear. And so yeah, I think in the grand scheme of things, should be pretty good.
Sweet, cool. Well, Curtis, you have any other questions for Mark?
No, I don't think so. You guys touched a bit on the glass clarity, and I just want to give my kind of endorsement to Vortex. I shoot every tier of scope that they have. I've got a Crossfire on my 22-250. I've got the Diamondback Tactical. I've got a Viper as well. And yeah, you can see, improvements as you go up in tiers. But honestly, every single tier of scope that Vortex makes is quality glass. So, I mean, depending on what your budget is, what applications you're going to be using it for, you can't go wrong with a Vortex scope. Even if you need a scope for a couple $100 for, your kid who's just getting into hunting, it's the way to go. Not spend a ton, get them into it, and you're just going to have a quality piece of gear if you're buying from Vortex. And we touted this last time, and I think every time you talk about Vortex, you tout their warranty. So you always have that in the back of your mind as well. You're going to have a great warranty, and these guys are stellar people that just want to help you out. And like I said on the last podcast, I've sent my scope in a couple of times, and each time it comes back better than when I had it before. So that's just my 2 cents on Vortex. If you are kind of in between brands or companies, I'd highly suggest going to Vortex, and you're not going to go wrong anything you get. So I'll end with that.
Yeah, I'll second that. And the thing I like about Vortex, and this is a great plug for Vortex, is wonderful, but that's the thing. There's something for everybody. It's not just that high tier stuff, but the high tier stuff is absolutely amazing, and I have a lot of that stuff, and it's absolutely fantastic. It competes with anything out there. But yeah, there's something for everybody. And so, Mark, appreciate everybody over at Vortex and what you guys do. And Curtis touched on it. You guys are fantastic people. You're fantastic people to work with, and we really appreciate you guys.
No, I appreciate you guys as well, and all the kind words. I mean, that means a lot to us, and I think it means a lot to your listeners that hear, I mean, I can say that stuff till I'm blue in the face, right? But, I mean, it means a lot more coming from you guys. And so it's awesome that you guys had those experiences, and hopefully we'll make a lot more of them. So.
Absolutely. Well, cool, guys. Well, I'll let you guys back to your day, but appreciate you both being on the call, and we'll talk to you all soon, okay?
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
All right. See you. Bye. All right, guys. Thanks again for listening to the podcast. Also want to send a quick shout out to, of course, Vortex Optics, as well as Ready Nutrients for sponsoring this podcast. Sure appreciate both those companies. Guys, hopefully you're getting out and doing some shed hunting, practicing that social distancing out in the mountains. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and share it with someone that you think would enjoy it. Thanks again, guys.